Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're doing good. Today is 21st December, Friday today. Let's have a positive start first. The world's most famous and popular language is music, right? It's a thing that connects with all of us. So that's the beauty of music. With this difference, our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. As you can see on your screen, all of them are designed by best faculties of our country. And you can check out demo lectures and other information about it on studyiq.com. At present, we are providing flat 60% off. This is big Christmas sale that is going on, and this is going to last till 25th December. So make the most out of it. With this difference, I do apologize for a little bit of delay because of some technical issues. I was not able to record this lecture on time, but now things are under control. We are back to normal, so let's crack on. The first item that we are going to go through is this one: whims of a digital boss. Now this particular article is on this case, on this video that got viral. It's about an employee of Zomato. A delivery agent was caught eating the food he was supposed to deliver. So that created, we saw so many jokes and so many things, and people have started asking this question, and people are right as well, that what is the accountability and monitoring mechanisms of the food delivery apps and websites. Now the thing is, with this sort of websites and apps, they have created a positive thing, and that is, as far as this job creation is concerned, or formal job creation is concerned, yes, they have played a very important role, no doubt. And if we analyze this thing further, then we find that ease of living has drastically improved after this introduction of this sort of apps, right? We have apps for ordering a taxi or a cab, for food as well. Now we have this app, and of course for a very long period of time we are using this for these apps for various different retail items, maybe vegetables, fruits, clothes, and so many other things. So they have, created a sort of, they have added a bit of easiness in our life. That's the thing that we have to appreciate. Of course, at the same time, right, we have to also think about this accountability and monitoring mechanism, because no one will accept this sort of food, right? No one, right? It will create a sort of rage, and the first thing that will come into our mind is that we will reject this sort of food. So that's a very bad thing. But at the same time, right, if we look at it from a different angle, I'm not saying that the person, what he has done is right. Of course, the thing that he has done is not right as a human being. At the same time, a trust that we have on someone who is bringing some things for us, right? If that person is breaching the trust, then that's a bad thing. Breaching trust is more severe than any other thing. So this person that's what he has done. Now we have to ask this question as well, right? We have to look at it from a humane angle too, that what was or what is the working condition of people who are working in this industry, in this delivery industry. And it's not just about food delivery, but other delivery as well, because we don't know the nature of employment, right? We don't know how their contracts are signed, or what's there in their contract, right? What is the, you can say, quality or time of your work hours, right? But then what about job security? Then what about if there is any sort of grievance or disciplinary thing, then how it is going to be sorted out, their contracts, all these things, right, we have to take into consideration. And it looks, right, if a person is eating food, right, what he is doing is something natural. It could be his instinct as well. We don't know, right? We don't know. It could be his instinct as well, that might have been so hungry that cannot control, or it would be not having that much money as well. That's the reason why he did this thing. That could be one reason as well. Of course, what he did is wrong again, so don't get me, that I'm not saying that people should do this thing when they are hungry. No, it's not right. But of course, this thing raises many questions about this working condition and nature of employment as far as this sort of app-based world is concerned. Because what happens in this app-based business is that your boss is a digital one, right? A digital boss is controlling you. Your app will provide you instructions, right? Everything you will get it on your app. Then it will set targets for you guys. You have to, all your goals and other things will be set by it. Your bonuses will be decided by this app. You have to collect more stars, as we know that the more stars you have, the better you are, and there are high chances that you will get more business if you have more stars, whether you are a cabbie or whether you are a delivery personnel, right? The more stars you have, the better it is for your profile. Now the thing is, in this, you can say, business, or in this rat race of collecting more stars, right, people are going through heavy pressure as well. What we find is that many times there are some technical glitches in the app, and this incorrect payment is paid to those persons or those people who are out there on the field. Deductions and other things are adding more, you can say. They're making the life of these people bit more difficult. And app companies, right, they are the ones who decide everything, from commission rates to earnings and monetary incentives, and everything is decided by those people who are at the very top of this pyramid. They are the ones, they have the complete control. They are the ones who decide fares, prices, surges. Many times they have to go through losses as well. So these are the things, and we have to ask this question, right, whether this app-based world, is it providing us an opportunity of self-employment or self-exploitation? Because most of the time these people are on road, and Indian roads are quite dangerous, as we know that. So what about their insurance? What happens if something goes wrong, right? So are they looked after, or are they covered with insurance or not? So these are the things that we need to ask. So it's not a perfect system. We have to make it perfect, of course. This app-based world. Now the second item that we are going to discuss is this one, long road home. On your screen you can see this picture, the person here, this man, his name is Hamid Nihal Ansari. He is an engineer, and he's basically from Mumbai, and he is in news because he spent the last 6 years in Pakistan's prison, and he was there because he crossed Afghanistan. He went to Pakistan via Afghanistan back in 2012. He went there on a mission to save a woman he had befriended online. So we don't know the real reason, whether it was love or whether it was something else. We don't know. So there is no point of commenting, since I know that many people will say that this is illogical to go to enter Pakistan via Afghanistan and to help someone. So see, the thing is, it's life, and people make mistake, but there is no point of going through that thing. Now the more important thing for your examination is, in case if you say, for example, tomorrow if you join Indian Foreign Services, so you will your main job is to look after the interest of people of our country. And if someone is in this sort of situation, then there is no point of making jokes about them. There is no point of if you scold them, or if you get angry on them that why you have crossed this thing and why you did such a stupid thing. So this is not going to help, right? Or that's not your job. Your job is to make sure that the person comes back to our country as safely and as soon as possible, and that's what we have to focus on when we go through this sort of topics, right? So back in December 2015, the court sentenced him to 3 years in prison. Mr. Ansari's parents, as well as Ministry of External Affairs, they did everything that was possible, right? Ministry of External Affairs left no stone unturned to make sure that we get him back as soon as possible. But it's very sad that in his case as well, this consular access was never granted. And consular access means this support that we can provide to our citizen in Pakistan. In this situation, right, we can provide them from our High Commissioner's office or High Commission. We can provide this whatever you can say, legal support or any other sort of support, if we can provide it legally, of course. So this was not allowed, and this is something that we see in this Jadav's case as well. We know this famous case of Sarabjit Singh. He passed away in Pakistan's jail, and he was treated very badly over there. And it's not that it's only Pakistani, you can say, officials who are treating our citizens in such a way, right? To be honest, to be fair, we are doing the same thing. It's always tit for tat. So, right, again, that's not our concern. Our main focus here is that what we can do about it. There are some 471 Indian prisoners in Pakistan's, you can say, domain, and there are 357 Indians, right? Beg your pardon, 357 Pakistanis in Indian prisons. So what we can do is we can sit down and we can, we have to provide proper legal support, so that, because there are so many innocent people here as well. You have to remember this thing, right? From Gujarat, and from the voters of Gujarat, from Gujarat side, Pakistan is not that far. And fishermen from Gujarat, they do venture out, and from their side, from Pakistan side, their fishermen are doing, they're taking all these risks to feed their families, isn't it? So many a times, unfortunately, they cross this international maritime boundary, and then they are caught by Pakistani side, and from our side we catch this Pakistani fishermen, and then they are in, then they are in this big, you can say, labyrinth. They go through all this, processes and so many things, and it takes ages for them to get back to their country. And again, remember that these people are not wealthy people, right? These people are coming from very poor families. So it's better that both of our nations, sit down, and then we do have these protocols as well, biannual meetings of Joint Judicial Committee on Prisoners. But the problem is that this committee has not met since 2013. So we need to add a bit more humane touch, and we have to make sure that both the sides try the level best to make sure that we are going ahead with this Joint Judicial Committee on Prisons biannually, or if possible then we can do it on annual basis as well, or maybe quarterly basis if that can work out. So it's something that the governments have to decide. But this is, again, you have to look at it from human angle. Now, misusing NSA. NSA stands for National Security Act. This has been misused in Manipur. On your screen, the person that you can see, he is a news reporter from Manipur. His name is Kishore Chand Wangkham. Right, his name is Kishore Chand Wangkham, and he is in news. A news reporter is in news because he used this word called puppet. He called Chief Minister of Manipur, that is N. Biren Singh, and his party a puppet, and because of this thing he was arrested. For the first time when he was arrested for the charges of sedition, at that point of time the magistrate granted him bail, noting that this Wangkham's remarks were not more than an expression of opinion against the public conduct of a public figure, albeit in street language. So it's not a charge, it's not a criminal offense, right? He has expressed his opinion. He has just used a word called puppet, and we find this sort of word means puppet is not a sort of a bad word, right? So it's of course when you are saying someone a puppet, you are talking about a negative thing about that person. But when you are a public figure, right, and you have to, this is your job, right? It's part and parcel of being in power. There are people who are going to say bad things about you. There are people out there, they are going to adore and like you. So it's never 100% everyone will like you. You cannot please everyone. So that's the reality as well. But here this person is a news reporter, and if he's saying something, or if he's using this thing, that does not mean that that person is personally alleging something to you. That's his job, right? He is presenting whatever he feels right. And when I say he feels right, of course, you cannot offend someone, but here we don't see anything negative. Now the thing is, this misusing NSA is a bit more severe. You can see here that magistrate granted him bail. So this Mr. Kishore Chand, he was out, right? So when he was out, again he was arrested a couple of days later, and this time he was detained under more severe National Security Act. Now this NSA provides for detention for a year without bail to prevent someone from acting in a manner that is prejudicial to the scrutiny of the state or for the maintenance of public order. One condition, of course, you can imagine, if you are trying to do something that is more harmful to the whole society, like if you are using weapons, or if you are talking about like violent, you can say, protest, if you are promoting this sort of things, and if this thing can take place, if there is a possibility and it looks like yes, a person or this person can create this sort of big level violence and so many people will lose their lives because of this person's words or his action, his or her action, then you can of course catch someone under this NSA. But it's not that easy, right? For NSA, you have this advisory board, and this advisory board, it has 3 members. These 3 members are they are the ones who are or have been or are qualified to be high court judges. So they are a bit mature, you can say, individuals who have a reasonably good amount of experience in this legal field. So this 3-member advisory board will tell you yes or no, case to case basis, whether someone should be arrested under this NSA or not. And the most shocking thing here is that this NSA advisory board has said that yes, go ahead and arrest Kishore Chand. Now, so far the things that we have discussed, right, from this thing as well, you can clearly see that this is a political vengeance, right? It's a sort of it's a vengeance, a revenge that the Chief Minister and his party is trying to take from this reporter here. And it is questionable whether a person can be detained under NSA for 1 year at a go, as its provisions say that the detention can only be for 3 months at a time and up to 1 year in total. So we have to wait and watch, but this is a good case, right? It's a good case that a judicial review means Zomato, this Supreme Court or High Court or any other court, a higher court can take a stand on this thing, because it looks like this person's fundamental rights are breached here, and what state is doing is something that looks a bit wrong, looks a bit fishy. Let's wait and watch, right? I'm sure this is going to be a big matter now, because it is reported in the Hindu and other newspapers as well, and I'm sure courts are going to take some action on this thing. Now, Law Commission is revisiting section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, which deals with this sedition, and there is a demand for its repeal. So it is disturbing that state governments are continuously using this sort of NSAs and this sort of similar laws. Now we are going to talk about, we have already gone through this one and these 2 articles. Now let's talk about this against the mandate for inclusion. This article is about Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Bill 2018. Yesterday as well we were talking about this particular item, and today we can revise things. There are a few things add-ons here, but most of the things it's good that we have discussed it already yesterday, right? So here we have Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Bill 2018. Now, the only positive thing that we find in this bill is that earlier the definition of transgender was very narrow. It was about a person, or transgender was defined as a person who is or who was neither a male nor a female. But now it is a bit more inclusive. It has got many diverse gender identities in it. So that's the only positive thing that we can find in this bill that has been passed by Lok Sabha. And now, it will be taken up in Rajya Sabha whenever we will find a sort of conducive environment in Rajya Sabha, because from last many days we have seen that Rajya Sabha is not performing. In fact, Lok Sabha as well, we can see that it's not performing that well. Now, this bill is talking about a district screening committee, in which you have 5 people, including a medical officer and a psychiatrist, and they are the ones. This committee will give you this certificate of being a transgender person. Now, if we go back to this Nalsa case of 2014, it was clearly stated by Supreme Court. Nalsa stands for this National Legal Service Authority, and in this case, Supreme Court has clearly stated that when it comes to a person's sexual identity, it is that person's right for self-identification. That person, an individual, will decide whether he or she is a male, female, or a transgender. So here, this district screening committee is that we find in this bill, or this bill is talking about this district screening committee that is against this Nalsa's verdict. Apart from that, when it comes to livelihood, Supreme Court clearly stated in this Nalsa case, and it has asked the government to recognize transgenders as socially as well as educationally backward classes of citizens. And this is something that we don't find in this particular bill, right? We don't find this bill talking about this backwardness of transgender community or people based on their social as well as educational structure. And the bill does not provide for employment opportunities through reservation. This was, when Supreme Court said that they should be falling under this category of socially and educationally backward classes of citizens. At that point of time, Supreme Court also asked states to provide a sort of reservation to transgenders. Now, this bill also criminalizes begging, and yesterday we were talking about this thing that begging is something that we find which is a bit common in transgender. So when you are criminalizing this thing, of course, that will not means it's not that now policemen will be chasing this transgenders if they see them begging, right? That's not going to happen. But even on small petty cases, things can be filed against them that they are begging, and then they can be locked in a sort of this begging. You have this a house where all your beggars are. If some beggars have done something, begging when it is illegal, then you are been kept in a house that is for the beggars. So it's a sort of a kind of lockup, I would say. And it also fails to extend protection when it comes to Indian Penal Code, when it comes to rapes and sexual assaults, right? Indian Penal Code recognizes rape in strict terms, right? It talks about men being a perpetrator and women and as victim. So you don't find transgender in this definition of rape as per Indian Penal Code. So when this protection is not provided to them in this bill, then we are missing this thing as well, because there are so many cases out there where transgenders are sexually assaulted as well as they are raped as well. But because we don't have any law that is specifically, you can say, clearly talking about their protection, so they don't get any protection. That means, in fact, many times it happens that even the case will not be registered because we don't have anything in IPC that can protect our transgender community. So that's something that this bill has missed. And as far as civil rights are concerned, like marriage, civil partnership, adoption, property rights, these things are also missing here. So in short, we can say that when it comes to fundamental rights as well as constitutional guarantee, right, these things are missing in this bill. And this is one of the main reasons why this bill should be discussed thoroughly in Rajya Sabha. We have already gone through 2 articles. Yesterday we were talking about one editorial that was based on this thing. Today we find one more article on this thing, and I'm sure in future we are going to find some more on this one. So MPs should take it very seriously, because all these flaws are serious flaws in our this bill. Now, towards a genetic panopticon, towards a genetic panopticon, this is about creating, it's again about a bill, a DNA Technology Use and Application Regulation Bill 2018. It is talking about creating a DNA bank, and in this DNA bank what we will have, we'll have DNAs of each and every individual or citizens of our country. Now this is infringement of civil liberties. Why? We are going to discuss about this thing in detail. Now there is no doubt that forensic science is a very important tool as far as this criminal justice system is concerned. It helps to determine, and it will give you that scientific logical evidences that are required to prove a crime. And we have seen various different programs in various different channels. I'm sure all of us have seen this forensic reports, and reports in the sense this sort of programs used to run. I'm not sure whether we still find them, but there was a time when we used to watch this in the afternoon time. We find these programs, particularly from America and other places. You go through these stories, they show you how forensic science help, like DNA and hair and other things have helped identify the right criminal. This forensic science has, of course, saved, this DNA evidence has saved many innocent people as well from the gallows. So its utility is there, and it's proven as well. But what we are trying to create here, a DNA bank, is a Faustian bargain. Faustian bargain means it's a deal with a devil. We'll find many wrong things here, because back in 2005, our CRPC was amended, and at that point of time, this amendment authorized our investigating officers that they can collect DNA sample from an accused with the help of a medical practitioner. If someone is, you can say, if someone is arrested or under custody, or if a person is going through an investigation, and if this police personnel or IOs, if they think that this person's DNA samples are required for this particular case, then they don't have to take permission from anyone. They can directly take it, and this is good as well. That there's nothing wrong with it. Means this is something that we should allow our police personnel. This will add more speed in their work as well as accuracy too. So consent is not required when it comes to this sort of cases. So anyway, we are going to get what we want, right? We can easily collect a DNA sample if it is required. There is no point of collecting this DNA. It's going to be expensive. At the same time, right, privacy is one of our fundamental right, and reference is this Justice K.S. Puthaswamy retired versus Union of India case. Back in 2012, a report was filed by Justice A.P. Shah, and this report also said that we don't need this DNA bank. We cannot collect data from innocent people, right? So there is no point. And why we are using it? We are using it, or why we want this bank? We want this DNA bank so that if there is any sort of case, then we can file. If we find some DNA sample, then we can directly file in a computer, and then we can you can run an app that will, or software that will help you match it with the person, right? So this will add more speed. But world over, this DNA bank or DNA data is used for criminal investigation. Here we are not just talking about criminal investigation. This bill is talking about so many other things as well. So we don't need it, right? Again, surveillance mechanism, it has to be, means, should be guided by principles of necessity and proportionality, rather than just collecting it and using it whenever you want. So that's a dangerous thing. So let's hope that we'll find some debate and dissent on this thing too. Now let me take you through important news items. Center seeks 41,000 crore more to recapitalize banks. Banks hit by IL and FS crisis seek relief. Men held for raping British tourist in Goa. This is going to, destroy the business of other people as well because of this Man's Act. MHA suspends IPS officer Rajneesh Rai. This gentleman Rajneesh Rai was the first investigator of this alleged fake encounter and had arrested 3 IPS officers as key accused. So now he is suspended. We have to wait and watch. I think this is going to be a big case. Waiter, there's bacteria in my salad. This one, you will find it in the state page. And it's about this antibiotic resistant bacteria that we find in our food, not just in meat and fish, but also in tomatoes and apples. indigenous gun trials of army to enter next stage by June. Both Speaker of Lok Sabha as well as Chairman of Rajya Sabha, they are worried about this ruckus that we find in our parliament and in winter session, of course, and government did not try to select Lokpal. This is something that is coming from this RTI query. And China's Pakistan investment takes a military turn. Now they are going to produce more weapons and more sort of military products in Pakistan. These are your vocabs, dear friends. Yesterday's question, map-based question, was about China's interest or growing interest in this Arctic region, and what China is trying to do is China is trying to make a Greenland its base, its Arctic base, it's a polar Silk Road, right? So that's the reason why it was in news. Today I have made it or kept it a very lean version. I'm sorry I don't have questions for you guys today because of this technical issue that I told you about, but I will compensate this thing to you, of course. On Sundays I will, tomorrow you'll get it as normally, and Sundays as well I will give you, so don't worry about it. Sorry about that again. And I'll see you soon tomorrow. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.